All right, y'all. Let's I know we touched on some of the NCAA stuff earlier in one of Brit's segments, but I want to drill down on it a little bit more here. So let's start with the women. And we don't the nice thing about the tournament, we don't have to give you our winners right now. We'll have another show next week after some games are played, and then maybe we can kind of give you our winners then. But I want your final four at least right now, guys. So on the women's side, who's going to be those last four teams standing once it's all said and done? K Walk, I'll start with you. Who you got?
Yeah, coming out of Albany one, I mean, you got to go with not just the favorite in that region, but in the favorite in the entire tournament, and that's the Lady Gamecocks in South Carolina. Albany two. Even though they're ranked three, I think they're going to be playing with a big chip on their shoulder, and I think Angel Reese and those ladies are going to come out, ready to go and ready to fire up. They want to defend their title here. So I'm going to go with LSU, in Albany too. Excuse me. I'm listening to Brit too much. Albany, Albany too. Portland for Portland three. I'm going to go with USC. I like that combo between I think it's McKenzie and Juju Watt there. I think they're going to be too much for that field. I know that, and I got them playing. I got them beating UConn in an Elite Eight to get there. So I know a lot of people aren't too high on UConn, but I'm going to give UConn. I think they're going to, as long as they play healthy and Paige Bethers is healthy and she comes out to play, I think they're going to make a deep run. But I think it stops at the Elite Eight. Portland four. I'm going to go with Texas. I'm going to go with Texas here. So I got Texas, South Carolina, LSU, and USC.
All right, that's a good four. That's a strong four, K Walk. Britt, who you got?
Same thing. Albany. Did I say it right that time? Albany.
You did, got it.
Thank you. I'm not from Albany, guys, so
that's all good. Neither am I, but
but Albany won. No, it's ends or buts. I'm going South Carolina. Rise of a New Dawn. Call it what you want. They're too strong, too deep. Even if Cardosa, she's not going to beat her the first round. I don't think you could beat them. Portland 4, I have Texas. I like Texas as well. I think ours is virtually the same. K-Walk.
Okay.
That's a shocker. But I got Texas. I like Texas. I have them beating Stanford, although I do think that's going to be a very tight, close game. Absolutely. And that could really go either way, to be honest with you. Portland 3, same thing. USC versus UConn.
Okay.
I was a little back and forth with this. But I ended up going with USC because I like when Juju Watkins wasn't performing well. The one game,
the team evolved.
Her teammates picked it up big time. And that's what I was just like, whoa, okay, great. Yeah. So I needed to see that. And they sure enough performed very well when she was struggling. And then Albany, too, was the tricky one. You want to go with Iowa because Caitlin Clark is a monster. But LSU was tough. They're tough. And, LSU beat Iowa, I believe, already, if I can recall. They beat them actually last year and this year, if I can recall. And I just don't think they could overcome LSU with Angel Reese down low and their mid. Okay, well, you look like, are you reading something?
Oh, look! Yeah, I am reading something. I'm
like, wait, I thought you was. I'm like, wait a minute.
So I'm looking at my bracket to see who I see who I had beating Iowa. So that's to your point. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
But no, I think I gotta go with LSU. I have LSU and Iowa. I love Caitlin Clark, but I think LSU is gonna be too tough. They're just relentless. They gave South Carolina a tough time, so I'm going with LSU.
All right, so mine is very similar, Britt. I got South Carolina, obviously, and Albany 1. My Albany 2 is different from you guys. And I know this is a change from what I said like a week ago whenever Britt asked us who we thought was going to win it. And I said LSU. But this is on brand for me. You guys know I changed my mind a lot. I got UCLA coming out of Albany too, Britt. I think they're going to – I think
last night.
And I like LSU. Like I think they're – first 5 and their one off the bench 6 is as good as anybody's first 6 in the country. But that's all they are not deep at all. And if they get into foul trouble or if they get into an up and down game, I just think the lack of depth might end up hurting them. So I got UCLA coming out of Albany too. Like you guys, I got USC in Portland 3, and I got Stanford in Portland 4. I think they're going to beat Texas. I just like the size of Stanford with Cameron Brink, and they have the other, I can't remember her name right now, but they got the other girl who's really good inside as well. They got two
Brink
really good bigs.
Yeah,
so I think Stanford comes out of Portland 4. So I got South Carolina, UCLA, USC, and Stanford as my final 4.
Jay, so you got UCLA beating Iowa.
I do. I think they're too big for Iowa. They got a 6'7" center. I just think they're too big, and they have really good guards too. So I got them beating Iowa. If I asked you, K Walk, who's the biggest threat to South Carolina in this tournament, what would you say?
It would be that team in South Carolina. South Carolina are the biggest threat to South Carolina. To be honest with you, I don't see anyone beating South Carolina other than themselves. To be perfectly honest with you, I think if they come in and they come focused and they, not, as we used to say back in the day, not smell yourself, Jay, if you will. Just be who you are. Play together. Let Staley do her thing, listen to the coach, execute everything, just be on point, because if you do that, no one else in the field could beat you. But to make it a little bit more interesting, Jay, going down the stretch, if we do see it, I would say it would be in the championship game, and I would say it would be USC. I think USC would give them a really tough problems with, like Britt and I kind of alluded to it, is that, JJ Watt, she's arguably the best player in the country. I know you got Caitlin Clark, guys, I'm a big fan of hers, but I just don't think she has enough around her. I don't think she's going to be able to do it.
That is true.
I don't think she's going to be able to do it this year. And how much I like her. But I think Juju Watt, if she can continue, if she's on, then they're tough to beat. If she's not on and she's able to get everyone involved and everyone else is able to do their thing like they did in the Pac-12 championship against Stanford, I think they're difficult to beat. So with all that being said, it's going to take a minute for it to happen if it comes to fruition. But I'm going to say USC is probably the one team that I can honestly say that can truly beat you South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be tough because, like you guys said, there's big, they're deep. Dawn, I mean, super well coached. Like this is not a team that's going to beat themselves. I actually think the team that could potentially beat them, I don't think they're going to have to play them, because I think LSU is the biggest threat to them. They've played them good twice this year. I think it's hard to beat a team 3 times, especially when the games go back and forth. That South Carolina might catch a break if LSU can't come out of that really, really tough Albany 2 bracket. But I'm going to say I think LSU is the biggest threat, but they might get by without having to play them. But Britt, what say you?
No, I'm with you, Jay. I'm going to say LSU as well. I actually agree with K-Walk. I think South Carolina, they could beat themselves because when you watch their games, it's like they're on all the way, and then eventually they allow the opposing team to make a run to catch up, and they've done that quite a number of times over the course of their games. So it could get a little hairy, and then all of a sudden, Dawn Staley would maybe call a timeout to regather themselves, have them run some plays, and then next thing you know, they take back off again. So I think LSU is on that revenge factor. You beat us 2-3 times in the last couple of years or so, and we ready to get back. And then you cannot tell me, although it was a little dust up, but it's some competitive, it's some competition there, and some like, are we getting you back? Now we're not going. I'm hoping they don't fight back, but we want to show it on the court. So I'm actually excited. I actually hope. And then it is LSU versus South Carolina, although I don't think LSU is going to get there, if I'm being honest with you, because of what Jay alluded to. The depth is an issue. But if they're focused, if LSU is on, they're a tough out for anybody.
Yeah, no question. And I agree, Britt. I think the one thing that scares me a little bit about South Carolina is sometimes they can go on these like offensive droughts where they'll go 4 or 5 minutes and won't make a field goal. Now, defensively, they're good enough to kind of overcome that. But if they run into a team, K-Walk, like a USC who can score the basketball, that could get really interesting if they have one of those offensive droughts. So that'll be fun to watch. We'll give you our championship picks next week, ladies and gentlemen. Let us see how these first couple rounds play out. Let's jump over to the men's side real quick. And K-Walk, Britt and I were talking pre-show before you jumped on. Go ahead, Britt.
Hold on, Jay. I'm sorry. We had a Lawrence Jacobs. He says LSU for life. So looks like we know who he's going for.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all. Let's jump over to the men's side. And K-Walk, Britt and I were talking pre-show before you jumped on, and we were just being honest. I said, Britt, I haven't watched a ton of men's games this year. I've watched North Carolina a little bit, Duke a little bit, UConn recently. So this is a little bit more of a crapshoot for me. But K-Walk, out of the three of us, you're probably the most locked in on the men's side. So who's your men's Final Four?
Yeah, my men's Final Four. It all depends on what bracket I have, ladies and gentlemen. I did 3 brackets, but I'm going to go. I have actually I don't have it in front of me, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go with my actual one here. Britt, if you want to fiddle around with yours, and I just want to just go to my bracket real quick. Just so I can
about 8 brackets, ladies.
Nah, but I want to go. I want to go to my money bracket. I want to go to my money bracket, if you will, because I got some. Because sometimes you can get lucky with this. But I'm going to go. This one. I'm going to go with this one, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to go with this one. So
K-Walk fun. K-Walk be like, Britt, go ahead as he continues to talk and look for his bracket. Then he here's my bracket right here.
All right. So I got coming out of the the East. I got UConn coming out of the East. All right, coming out of the West, I got my Tar Heels coming out of the West. I got Houston coming out of the South, and out of the Midwest. I have who do I have here? I have Purdue. I have Purdue out of the Midwest meeting in the championship game. This hurts my heart, Tar Heel fans, but I'm going to go with UConn and Purdue, and then do I? Oh, you don't want me to give the winner yet, right?
Yeah, let's hold off.
All right, let's hold off on that. But I do have another bracket where I have my Tar Heels going.
Okay, Walker, are they all number 1 seeds?
No, UConn is number 1. North Carolina is number. Yeah, they are number 1. That's why I went with that one. Okay. But I got one it's because it's not going to be all number 1s like generally we see with the women's. Yeah. But I have another one. But that's the one where I went with my heart. But next week I'm going to give you the one with my head. Okay, that's my heart.
It's like it's funny, K Walker, because I have those exact same 4 teams written down as my 4, but I just went chalk because I don't know. Like I honestly don't know. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to go chalk here and take UConn, Houston, Purdue, and North Carolina just because I'm not really sure. The men's side has kind of been crazy all year. I think it could be wide open. So I went straight chalk on that one. But Britt, what say you?
I guess I'm with you, Jay, but I went with Auburn in the East. I decided to go with Auburn. Let's see. I think they're a pretty talented team from what I could see. I agree. It's so tight in this, especially after I seen NC State beat the Tar Heels in the championship. That threw me off a little bit. But in the West, I went with the Tar Heels. I just think if the Tar Heels are on, I think they're one of the best teams in men's college basketball. I really do. When they're hitting on all cylinders. Midwest, I decided to go with Tennessee. I'm gonna take a chance.
That's a good pick
because they're only 10 I see. No, I'm just playing. I'm just kidding. That's old school, y'all. That's old school.
Yeah.
But no, I went with Tennessee there. And then for the South, I did not know which way to go. I feel like NC State is underrated in that South. I really do. Houston is just that good. So that was another thing. And then I think you get a little bit of a risers. Like Kentucky is in there. They always do well during tournament time. And they got some really good young freshmen on that team if they're healthy. But I'm gonna go with this one. I am gonna go with Houston. It might change though. This one might change. I just think Houston right now is just the dominating one as of right now.
You reserve the right to change your mind. So
let me give you my head
Okay.
final four.
Okay.
And that's I got Iowa State, who's a number 2 seed.
Okay.
I have Mississippi State as my number 3 seed or 8 seed actually. They're the 3 seed. I got Houston and I got Purdue on the other side as well. That's my head team right now because
no
it's March Madness.
Carolina.
I don't have Carolina. That's why I said I went with first one. I went with my heart. Second one, I went with my head because it's March Madness and we know how that works.
Yeah, and it's hard to believe that all 4 1 seeds are going to be sitting in the Final Four. Like I don't see that happening.
That's
but that's